Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Experience, and we are going to do today, we're going to have the second part of our visit at Ospirits. We had so much content that we had to put it into two videos, and it was really well worth it. This video, you're going to see us get into a couple of their bourbons, one of them with the black, the second one with smoke, and really taste those. And then we're going to get into some other really kind of unique things that Doug McLaughlin does there at Ospirits. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the first one. The second one, we're getting ready to jump right into it. Thanks a lot.
Now we're going to talk about these two guys. So, smoke and black. Okay, so these are the two best sellers that we make. Both are bottled at 100 proof. Both are single barrel. Both run off of the same exact mash bill. Okay, but what's different is the distillation process and the aging process that we do on these guys. So we'll talk about smoke first. Smoke, it's a 4-grain mash. It's corn, rye, wheat, and malted barley. So wheat, the wheat is 10.5%. The rye is 14%. The malt is 17.5%, and it's 58% corn. So
So high corn, yeah.
Yeah, high corn. So it's a bourbon, even though it says American whiskey, it's a bourbon. The federal government didn't understand why I was calling it smoke, and they didn't want to listen to me because we were new.
Yeah.
So I said, "What can I call it?" And they said, "You can call it American whiskey." Okay, let's put it in a bottle and sell something because we're broke.
Let's go.
Now, the brother of smoke is the Batch 27, which is the cast strength version of the smoke. And if you notice, it says
Bourbon whiskey.
bourbon whiskey. So this one's pot distilled twice. So when you only pot distill things 2 times, it retains a very large flavor profile. So you can actually still taste individual grains within the whole thing, and the flavor profile fills the entire mouth, tongue, front to back, left to right. Very big sipping whiskey. The black, this one's pot distilled 3 times. So that 3rd time pot distillation pulls all those flavors together, and it drinks really neat, right down the middle of the tongue. It drinks real easy, but the flavors are all combined. So now you're not picking up on every little thing that's going on. Now you're just enjoying the bourbon and what we did in the barrel, and
Yeah.
a totally different product, just based on distillations and the aging. So smoke, we have a guy down in Kentucky that harvests white oak trees for the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts of America and builds cabins and trails with them. So we go down and we trade him a case of whiskey for a planked white oak tree. You know, our planks are about 1 3/4 inches thick, and then we take those planks and they sit at Mike's house for a year and they dry out. So after a year, we take those big old planks and then we run them on a table saw. We cut staves. So we cut it so that they're about 1 3/4 inches tall, 3/4 inch thick, and 2 feet long. And then we toast those in the oven at 325, and that brings out the vanillas. If you toast it at 350, it brings out the caramels. If you toast it at 300, it tastes like a brick of oak. So it's very temperature sensitive, and what you're pulling out of the oak is based on temperature.
I learned a lot here.
And what that's doing is it's prepping the sugars. And then what we do is we take them outside, and Mike chars both sides of that to a char 4. So to where you're getting the alligator skin, and we're going about 1/8 of an inch deep. So basically, to get to a 4, you have to catch it on fire.
Yeah.
To get that deep of a char. So, but instead of throwing water on it to put them out, we have a fireproof blanket. We extinguish it by taking away the oxygen, and by doing that, we leave the smoke in the char.
Ooh.
So that's why you call it smoke.
Yeah. So then, when this white dog goes into the barrel, we add 12 smothered staves that go into it, and that infuses the barrel with the campfire oak finish. that we get. So
Which is something very similar to what Makers does with some of their like
the French
46.
46,
Yeah.
We're not adding any liquid smoke to anything. It's
Yeah.
all the natural smoke from the actual fire that
Yeah.
the staves went under. So this one gets double oaked, but not until halfway through the aging cycle. So then we'll open up that barrel and we'll add 10 soaked staves. We'll take those same staves and we'll dunk them in water for about an hour so that we get rid of that smoke that's in that char.
Okay.
Okay,
Just
so
fade it
that's
out. And then we're just after the big finish. We're trying to get the vanillas, the caramels, and the big oak char finish. So we're going to start with this one because you need to start here so that when you drink this, you can tell the difference of how big this one drinks compared
The other
to
one.
how clean and neat this one drinks.
And I do like a double oaked.
I did not realize that was a double oak.
I know.
So you said middle of the tongue, right?
Oh my goodness.
So,
Oh wow, that's
good.
good. Like that nose is just kind of like just a very subtle but prominent vanilla, if I'm getting that right.
Yeah.
And that just comes right through on the taste, and just tastes like silk.
Yeah. But then those fruit notes are still on the nose and they're still in the palate, but
Yeah.
they're mingling with all that oak.
so again, here's some of my naivety. If you triple distill it, do you lose some of the flavor from that at all, or does it kind of thin it out, or?
What we're doing, we're cleansing it one more time, and then we're pulling all those flavors together.
Okay.
Since we're pot distilling it, we're still taking all of the flavors.
Oh, so again, that's different. So that's gonna be different than doing a okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just it's like taking the whole thing and going whoop, pulling everything together.
So it makes it even tighter.
So to expand on that, we're gonna taste this guy. Same thing. Do the nose thing. You gotta do the nose. This is a 3-year, 1 month, 9-day barrel soak. This is a 3-year soak.
Okay.
in this.
And the smoke is double distilled, right?
Twice pot distilled and double oaked right at the beginning with the smothered staves. So
Okay.
So this is a double oaked also.
So yeah, but it's darker because it has more time with those staves in there to actually get a little bit more. So we start with that water, then we start with all of our raw grains. So our raw grains are our corn, our wheat, and our rye. So it's as it came out of off the field, except that we grind it up so that we can get to the inside and pull the starches out. So the raw grains go in, the water goes in, we heat it up, and then we heat it up to 190, and we hold it there for 3 hours. And in that time, it's like when you make grits. Everything's good until you about 180, 190, all of a sudden it turns into wallpaper paste because those long chain starches come out of the grain and turn it into just a sticky mess. That's what we want to happen here. Is we want all the starches to come out. And then once we get that process done, then we lower the temperature. I lower the temperature down to 170. And then I add, I do that by adding more water into it to lower the temperature. And then I strike the malted barley. The malt, you know what you do? What happens to a grain when you malt it?
Yeah, you cause it to sprout.
You germinate it. And
Yeah.
that germination process creates a chemical inside the grain called amylase.
Yep.
And amylase breaks down long chain starches into sugar, into glucose.
Yep.
So, but it's very temperature sensitive because it's an enzyme. So we have to drop the temperature to 170, keeps the enzyme safe so it can do its job. Once I'm there, I strike it with the malt, and then the whole thing then turns from a sticky mess back into a watery mess in
Right.
about an hour and a half.
Yeah. So that amylase is what goes into the carbs from the other grains, converts those to sugars for the yeast to turn into alcohol.
So that's what we want. We're going to turn all that grain into sugar so that the yeast can eat the sugar, make ethanol, alcohol. So once that process is done, after about another hour and a half, then I lower the temperature one more time and I add a glucoamylase, which turns that sugar into powdered sugar so that the yeast can eat it quicker.
Oh, okay.
So it breaks it down even more. So it starts making little pieces.
So you're really extracting max
Yeah,
efficiency out of the grains.
yeah, because we don't want these to get stuck in the fermentation part of it. We want them to just keep going all the way to the end,
Yeah.
so that we get every bit of that sugar used up. So this one is going to be distilled on Monday. But this one's close to being done. So now if you kind of waft that towards your nose,
Oh, yeah.
you should
Yep.
be picking up a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Turn that into my wash. I mean, oh man, I love fermentation.
Yeah.
Now that's the part that nobody does is take it to this stage, and that's part of one of the reasons why we get such great tasting whiskey is that we're using all of our elements together, and that's all because the yeast is eating the sugar, releasing carbon dioxide. That's the movement. Is the carbon dioxide coming to the top, creating ethyl alcohol and creating heat. So at the very beginning, I have to keep a fan on these guys because the very first stage of it, it can overheat and then kill the yeast.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you have to really watch the temperature at the beginning. This is triple distilled white dog. This is basically black that is ready to go into a barrel.
Yep.
So black is about 160 on the culmination of everything coming off the still. And then to go into a barrel, we go in at 123. So this is 123 white dog.
Oh, this will give you a little bit of
Put some hair on your chest.
That'll put hair on your chest, I'll tell you.
But now taste this.
There's no sour smell to this.
That's 123 proof.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely hotter than what we've had before.
Yeah.
But that's
That's clean.
yeah.
It doesn't come across as 123.
But if I can get that tasting, like that before the barrel's only going to do good things to it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
now you mentioned the sour
Uh-huh.
part of that. What every distillery in the United States does is when they do the first distillation run, or however they're doing it, they're distilling on grain. So they're recooking the grain. The sourness you're tasting in the white dog from normal distilleries are the ones that distill on grain.
Yeah.
They recook those grains, and all the overtones from the cooked grains then go up and over,
Yeah.
and they foul the taste of the white dog. And it takes 4 years in a barrel to overcome those flavors.
How much do you think you lose through? Well, what they call the English here. How much do you?
So right now, when we pull barrels for 3 years, we're getting about we're losing about 12 gallons at 3 years.
How much does a barrel hold?
53.
53.
53. Okay.
So we're getting 41, 40
Gotcha.
gallons out of each one. So
You are doing. That's your first ride, then, there, right?
that's our experimental rye. I took all of the rye that I had going up there, and I redistilled it so it's all clear rye, and then it's good to test in a glass bottle, but it's not. It doesn't get the aromatic sense of just breathing through a barrel. So we took like 15 gallons and put it in here. So it's only about this full.
Oh.
But we can taste this if you want.
Heart pounds, knees go weak.
Do you guys
Oh,
like
I'm
rye?
not going to argue.
He's the rye guy.
He's the rye guy? Yeah. Okay, good. We'll taste
like,
it.
are you going to argue with it?
I will not argue with that at all.
And then we're also going to taste this one.
What's it?
So this is the black
Is this the?
from February 28th of 20. So we're 3 years,
Okay.
8 months.
Sure.
It's actually kind of awesome.
Kind of awesome.
This is what soap should smell like.
That's what
Right.
we're saying. One of our videos, Nathan was like saying, you know, I should just shower in that stuff. You know.
Yeah. That's the juice.
All right, come on in. There, that's really cool.
I can take that one.
Notice he poured 4. I noticed that.
Yeah, it was 2 for me, right?
One of those is mine.
That's right. That's right.
So rye is here.
The rye is there.
Oh, rye's there.
Yep.
Okay. So everybody doing the rye first, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what my goal was to make a very rich, drinkable rye. This is a 4-grain mash bill.
Oh.
See, I'm not as much of a rye guy, and this. Now we had a rye last week that was pretty solid. This is good. It's fuller.
It doesn't have that. It's not as forward spearminty, but you still get that nice little rye spice. It's just. I'm saying this a lot today, but I mean it's clean.
Now the aroma I get out of that is unlike any rye I've smelled before.
Now this is a 53% rye. So
Okay, so it's a low.
It's a lower rye.
Lower rye, yeah.
So that's why we're not getting the spearmint, the peppery,
Yep.
or the
I don't mind
grassy. You know what I mean? I wanted
Yeah.
it to be very pleasant.
Yeah. So this would be more like a rye down your alley,
Yeah, it would.
just because of that low percentage. But
The rye definitely comes out and says hello.
yeah, it does. But even then, the rye with the rare breed rye, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty low rye percentage as well, which could be why I enjoy it. Like I'm not a fan of bullet rye. Bullet rye is just too much.
And it's not that I'm not a fan of rye. I do like ryes. I'm just not as much of a fan of a rye as you are.
Correct.
That's tasty.
And my assumption then became you guys source, and then you're telling me
I know.
you don't source a thing.
I was coming
That's
in here,
awesome.
no joke, thinking that everything was sourced because there's just no way. And then when you said you weren't, I'm like, dude, he's not messing around.
Yeah.
He's not messing around.
Well, and you can still do craft and source all your stuff.
Right, but you're waiting 3 years before, like when you first start. I guess that would be a good question. Is so what did you do for 3 years? Because you're not getting anything
Vodka.
for 3 years.
Well, no, we didn't really do the vodka until 20.
Oh.
So we did Tada first. So we got Tada.
Okay. Because as long as it touches oak, you can call it whiskey.
First barrel of smoke came off at 1 year,
Okay.
and it won a gold.
Wow.
Really?
Well, I
mean,
believe
that's
it.
stupid.
Where do you go from here?
But it's gotten so much better now that we're into the 3-year area. But the smoke always aged quicker because of the double oaking. You know what I mean? So, but it was. I still have a bottle of the 001 that I keep on the shelf back there, and you compare them now. It's like, good Lord, can we release that?
Isn't that awesome? That's awesome. But that tells you, like, how you learn and kind of learn through the process, right? That's cool.
But it's still good. It's
Yeah.
still very good.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have all that bad overtone stuff going on, and it's still solid. It's just not. Doesn't have as much depth.
So how long were you distilling prior to actually establishing M&O?
2014.
Oh, really? So you'd only been going at it for 3 years as a hobby?
Yeah. So Batch 27 is called Batch 27 because it took 27 different mash rooms to come up with what became our smoked and our black.
Okay.
So I still have the notebook with all 27 different versions
Oh wow.
that we did. So, but then once we hit that, that's the hardest thing is once you niched what you're gonna do, is consistency from that point on. Boom, boom, boom. Every time consistency.
Okay, I want to get to this guy.
Yeah.
So
This is the
Go ahead. Yep.
the black.
Yes, if you don't mind.
That's all right.
Yep.
That's all right. You do. Good Lord, this is ridiculous. Sorry, I'm influencing you.
No. I think with all we've already had, I think we've done been influenced.
Really?
Oh my goodness, the smell on that is just heaven.
Man. And this is the black, right?
Yeah.
Oh, now see, I gotta come to some decisions. Which cast strength am I gonna buy? The black or the smoke? Because both of them.
My lord, that is.
Yeah, you've got it down. That's fun.
It doesn't drink like 125.
I was gonna say
No.
it does not.
Nothing that
that's
you've
just
given
it.
us would.
Yeah.
The closest thing that I would say would be 120 would be the rye, but that could also be that could be the spice.
That could be the rye. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
It definitely doesn't drink like it.
But
This
this
is
there is just there's a velvety quality to this.
really.
So we don't do any cold filtering of anything. So
I was gonna ask that.
so we keep those oils kind of in there, and what that does is it gives us the flavor profile lingers and holds on. It
Yep.
doesn't let go. It doesn't.
Oh yeah, okay, so that adds the finish.
That's what we were talking about.
Finishes long.
Yes. Okay. That's a great. So we were talking about this last week and like about a month ago because I've got a couple non-chilled filtered bottles that just absolutely
Yeah,
love.
new riff. Everything is non-chill filter.
Just, and we were like, why are those? And the only explanation we could say is, well, because you don't filter it out, so it has all the goodies in it. But I didn't have that. I didn't know how to explain it else that it lasts longer.
Right.
There's more
Yeah.
of a flavor that stays with you.
It's almost got a viscosity to it because of the oils. Smoke, since
Yes.
it's only twice pot distilled, it really has that kind of a thickness to it, to the liquid. And
Yeah.
you'll pick that up on batch 27, that it's kind of just a little thicker than.
That was a Nathan description.
Viscosity.
You did, yeah.
Well, there you have it. Thanks again for joining us. Just a lot of great information there. We walked away, loved the place. It's not that expensive of a tour. As a matter of fact, it's really cheap of a tour, and it's really worth the while. You're going to spend an hour to hour and a half, 2 hours there, and to learn about the whole process of what's going on. It's excellent. So I would definitely recommend it. It's definitely becoming quickly one of my favorite bourbons. I'm going through it too quickly, so I'm going to need to get another one here pretty soon. So it's going through pretty quickly. I would definitely take a look at it. Again, like I mentioned before, it is a diamond in the rough. So take a look, go check them out. It's worth your sip. All right. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us and for all bourbon.